Hi, this is Jijo. Here we will look at the Consortium sample question that they posted on the 21st of May. What CLAT Consortium has told us is that they will have a series of supplementary material that they will give to us. So starting from May 21st, going all the way till June, every single day. Some of them are for the UG exam, which is the CLAT. Some of them for the PG exam, for that is for the LLM program. So we are obviously interested in the UG exam. And today they posted the English language sample question set. So we'll have a look at the question set and try and solve it. This is the passage of that said 3 paragraph. When we read the passage, it is important to understand the claims made by the author. One of the important skill that we must have is our ability to differentiate the claims that the author is making with the justification the author is giving for that claim. That sentence might be a little confusing. Let me rephrase in this fashion. Author makes a claim. Author gives reasons for the claim. Author illustrates that particular claim. Author provides evidence for that claim. I'm actually interested in the claims that are made by author. Yes, I'll read the illustrations or example that the author providing or the evidence the author providing, but I need to understand the claims of the author. It is those claims that help me understand the main idea of each paragraph. If I can understand the main idea of each paragraph, I can connect all of them together into a whole. So one thing that I'll advise always is the fact that you must read the passage first and then go to the question. The reason why I say that is that I don't want to kind of my reading style should not change. The way in which I would read the passage would be irrespective of the question being asked to me. So that way I have a constant process or a consistent process in which I will read the passage irrespective of whatever the question that I'll get. I know that my process of reading should be good enough to answer any question that comes along my way. So I'll read the passage. What I want when I read the passage the first time, I should be able to read this passage in about 2.5 minutes. That's 3 paragraphs. But it's important to process the information the right manner. So what I'll do is I'll break down each sentence in terms of its structure. So what is going through my mind in those 2 minutes, I will try and break it down to small unit to help you understand how we can read effectively so that you can answer all these questions pretty accurately. So let's start by reading the first paragraph. It starts by saying the people of India are also diverse in appearance, providing visual testimony to mixture. He's saying it starts by saying there is the diversity in the people of India, and that gives a visual testimony to mixture. We don't know what that means at this point in time. It's a testament. It gives some evidence for mixture. We need to understand what mixture mean. Probably the author will interpret that. But at this point in time, we need to see there is diverse the diversity in appearance. That's a claim that the author is making in the first sentence. And you look at the second and third sentence. A stroll down a street in any Indian city makes it clear how diverse Indians are. Skin shades range from dark to pale. Some people have racial features like Europeans, other close to Chinese. When you look at this part of the sentences, you see that is illustrating that particular diversity. So this is kind of an evidence of the diversity that the author has presented here. That would be this part of the paragraph. And this from a first reading perspective, though I read it, I don't want to capture this in my mind. I don't want to exactly understand this piece of information and blindly um, register that in my mind. Merely all this part. At this point in time, what I see is that all these are talking simply about the fact that there is diversity that exists in India. So that's all my takeaway is so far. And the next it starts by saying it is tempting to think. The moment I have tempting to think, now there is a temptation, or the author is now alluding to a problem by using the phrase it is tempting to think. What is reality is something else, what we perceive is something else. So this is an important sentence. It is tempting to think. What is that we think? That these differences reflect a collision of peoples who mixed at some point in time. So that is a mixture he's talking about. That is a mixture. Okay. These differences reflect a collision of peoples who mixed at some point in time in the past with different proportions of mixture in different groups living today. So this now the author is suggesting a reason for this diversity. One of the things that we say is that this is because of mixture. There is diversity that's there diversity, that's it. The diversity is because of mixture, and this is something that the author is evaluating. This is what we may think. Is it actually the case? And the author now goes on with a pivot but now the next part is important. It is also possible to interpret physical appearance. Don't look too much into physical appearance, as it is known why that appearances can also reflect environment and diet. That appearance, so the diversity based on the appearance. So don't interpret appearance from here. Appearance is saying that talks about the mixture, because appearance can be because of environment and diet. So so in the first paragraph, I think the key takeaway is this particular sentence here. It is also possible to overinterpret physical appearance. Don't overinterpret it, as it is known that appearance can also reflect environment and diet. Okay, so at this point in time, in my mind, what is saying, we're talking about diversity, discussion about the fact that some people believe it's because of mixture or collisions of people that happened in the past, but that may not actually be the case. That's what the suggestion is from paragraph number one. Let's go to paragraph number two. The first genetic work in India. So there is the first genetic work in India gave seemingly contradictory results. So we have to now look at seemingly contradictory results. And then immediately the next part is what that contradiction is. So we'll have to understand. So the moment I read and here you say that you looked at the contradictory results, I'm interested in what is that contradictory result. So there is a seemingly, again, the word is seemingly contradicting. May not be actually the case. There might be paragraph number two. The paragraph number two is talking about the fact that there is a the genetic work that is being done, and there is a contradictory research. And again, the word used seemingly means that it is just as a first glance on the face of it may not be actually that there's no contradiction, is what the author suggests. So that the word seemingly is important. Seemingly, so let me look at seemingly. Okay, that's how that word is. It's tempting to think it is seemingly contradictory results. Let's look at what that contradiction is. Research studying mitochondrial DNA, always passed down from mothers, found that vast majority of mitochondrial DNA in Indians was unique to the subcontinent, and they estimated that Indian mitochondrial DNA types only shared common ancestry with ones predominant outside South Asia many thousands of years ago. This suggested, and that's important. What is this suggested? That on the maternal line, Indian ancestor has been largely isolated within the subcontinent for a long time, without mixing with neighboring population to the east, west, east, or north. So, from saying that the genetic world, what is the contradiction? So, let's say from maternal line, there seems to be no mixing. The whole discussion about mixture, right? So, let's talk about people mixing together. So, that's where it's happening. Okay, and then the author says, in contrast, that is the contradiction. So here we'll understand the contradiction. In contrast, a good fraction of Y chromosomes in India pass from father to son. Now, when you look at from father to son, that is paternal, right? Father to son is paternal. Paternal, it says from father to son, showed relatedness to West Eurasians, Europeans, Central Asians, and Near Easterners, suggesting mixture. So this talks about mixture. So when I read the second paragraph, the takeaway is that there is a seeming contradiction. What is a contradiction? Maternal line, there is no mixing. Paternal line, there is mixing. Okay, so where is the author going with it? So now let's look at what the third paragraph is talking about. Third paragraph now talk about some historians of India. Now author is talking about what this some historian in India does. Now whenever you see this word some historian in India, whenever some people believe, some people think, usually what is going to happen next is author countering that position that those people have. That is usually the case. So whenever you start seeing that some historians in India, some people of India, you can immediately think, okay, fine, the author is now going to attack whatever the position that they have taken. Some historians in India, what have they done? Have thrown up their hands and discounted. Now he's saying that some historians in India, they have discounted genetic information due to these apparently conflicting findings. So this paragraph is talk about, because there is a conflicting findings here, there are some historians has kind of discounted it. Some people discounted the data, saying that data is useless. The situation has not helped by the fact that geneticists do not have formal training in archaeology, anthropology, and linguistics, the fields that have dominated the study of human prehistory, and are prone to make elementary mistakes, to be tripped by trip up by known fallacies when summarizing findings from these fields. So he's saying that okay, fine. So first is there is a contradiction. Second is the fact that these geneticists, who was actually genetic work we are discussing here, geneticists have made make some elementary mistakes. So they tend to make elementary mistakes. So that coupled with the fact that there's contradiction, some of the historians said is not good. So far, we don't see author's view here. The author view starts happening immediately using the word. Another pivot that you can see is and therefore the next piece of information is important. Is foolhardy to ignore genetics. So this author is now is very clearly saying the author's opinion is that this particular thing that you're discounting this is absolutely wrong. Please don't do that. At the end of the day, the contradiction apparently is only seemingly, that's what you understand. Seeming contradiction, not really a contradiction that's there. Foolhardy ignore genetics. Then the author says, we geneticist. So author is a geneticist. 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 I don't know. Okay. Fair enough. We geneticist, sorry, maybe barbarians coming late to study of the human past, but is always a bad idea to ignore barbarian. We have access to type of data that no one has had before, and we are wielding this data to address previously unapproachable questions about who ancient peoples were. So now author is saying that you don't ignore it because we have this data. We can answer these questions. That's what is important. So this is a piece of passage that I see in front of me. It's obviously taken from a larger piece of work. So this might be some sort of introduction to what the author wants to say. What my takeaway in my reading. So what I've told you now is what would I've read in 2 minutes. What would have gone in my head in those 2 minutes, maybe in 1.5 2 minutes, I would have read this particular passage. What my takeaway is paragraph number one. There is diversity. Oh, fine. You might think it's because of mixture. Great, but don't go with appearance because appearance can have also become other factors, which is environment and diet. Okay, perfect. Now let me talk about a genetic work. There's genetic work that is being done that is contradictory results, and because of this contradiction, some historians saying that this kind of work is useless, but that is actually not the case. Look, it is important to look at this work. Period. Done. That's what the passage is. So if you got this in mind, so you are much more confident when you understand passages. You're much more confident when you look at the question. Let's have a look at question number one. Why is it? Why does the author say? Whenever I say why does the author say, you're looking at these kind of questions that I will call a specific purpose question. What is the purpose of the author saying it is possible to overinterpret physical appearance? It is also possible to overinterpret physical appearance. In these kind of question is very very specific question. The answer, you should be able to find the answer right there. You should be able to find the answer right there. Why? As because it is known that appearances can also reflect environment and diet, and that would be the answer to that question. That's the reason as to why author said don't overinterpret. And this, let's look at answer choices here. Answer choice number A, since people often disguise. What do you mean disguise? Disguise, nothing about disguise is mentioned in the particular alien to the whole thing. Since people often undergo plastic surgery, these are easy elimination. If anyone marked answer choice number A and B, the author will commit suicide. That's what is going to happen. You see, answer choice is very C. Since physical appearance can be affected by factors such as surroundings would be environment, and food habits. Food habits is diet. In addition to genetic mixture, it also possible to overinterpret. It is known that appearance is not because of this, not because of genetic mixture, but also other factors contribute. This is a very clean and nice answer choice. Since Indians as a group have never mixed, what, first of all, this whole thing about never itself is an extreme word. This is what I'm calling extreme word. Always, never. Whenever you have things like this, is where you have a red flag. It is usually wrong. In which case, the answer choice number D is not even right. So, but that's okay. But that is answer choice number C. Not much of a problem. Let's look at number two, which of the following most accurately describe the first genetic work done in India. Now, when we read this, I know what the first genetic workers talked about. We know for the fact that the maternal line said that there's isolated and there is no without mixing. But when we look at the paternal line, which is father to son, there is mixture, and that's what needs to be said, and that is there right there in answer choice number A. Result relating to maternal line suggests the Indian axis has been isolated, but results from paternal line suggests a mixture with West Eurasian, which also mentioned there. That's answer choice number A. Let's look at what is answer choice B doing. Result relating to paternal line has been isolated. No, Maternal line is mixture. They've got it wrong. Maternal line is actually not mixture. Maternal line is isolation. Paternal line gives shows mixture. This is exactly the opposite. Now, if you mark answer choice B for this particular question, that means that that's a silly mistake made. It's right there. Information is right given. In some case, I'm sure that you could have answered this question. Kind of a pick me option. When I say pick me option, the option kind of is very obvious. You don't have to go back to the passage. Most of the time, when you look at even for example question number 1.1, you really did not have to go back to the passage to eliminate answer choice a, b, d, or to select answer choice number c. The reading and whatever we have our takeaway from the passage is good enough to find answer to those two questions. Let's look at c. The results were lost in fire. What fire? Which fire? No fire we had talked about. Results show that Indian historians have not received formal training. First of all, Indian historian having this formal training itself is not mentioned. Basically, geneticists do not have formal training in anthropology and linguistics. What is mentioned, it is wrong in any way. So answer choice B, C, D, and wrong. Answer choice A is the right one. Let's look at 1.3. The expression, to throw up one's hands mean. So one is if you know the meaning of the word to throw up one's hands. This is like you're frustrated. You're giving up because of frustration. You're almost giving up because of frustration that you have. And if you know that, you say that to give up in annoyance would be the right answer choice to that question. Now, even if let's say for some reason you don't know meaning of the word, you can have a look at this as a place here. Have thrown up their hands. That's what is mentioned, and discounted genetic information. Due to the apparently conflicting findings, you can say whatever it is. It's kind of saying something that is negative. It's talking of something that is negative and not something that is positive. So to volunteer for different that's something that is positive. That's not the case. To conduct deep genetic research, this is another suicide option. Author will commit suicide if he marks answer choice because they have discounted genetic information. If they are discounted, how do they conduct deep genetic research? To cheer loudly with vigorous hand waves, uh, that also gives a positive sense that you're cheering it. What is that to cheer? They're actually discounting things. So the only thing that the key word is the word which says give up, and that would be the right answer choice. It's even if you don't know the meaning of the word, you can gather that meaning from the information that is given in the passage. Let's look at 1.4. In what context do the authors say always a bad idea to ignore barbarians? When you want to look at the context, the answer will be right there. It is always bad idea to look at this. So you want to look at a couple of sentences before that. From the structure of it, we need to kind of evaluate from here to here, and I'm sure that the answer would be right there. So if you look at, yeah, let me actually draw that like that. There you go. Uh, Actually, in the context of it, the author starts by talking about something about what some historians think. They're given upon this particular one, and the author starts by saying, but it is foolhardy to ignore genetics. We geneticists may be barbarians coming late to the study of the human part. We may be late to the study of human part, but it's always a bad idea. We may be coming late to the study, always a bad idea to ignore barbarians. We have access to type of data that no one else had before. We are wielding the data as previously approached question. It is in that context they brought in barbarians. So let's look at the only answer choice which talks about Genesis, uh, geneticists is answer choice number B, right? Only one. I think the rest everything is uh, that's a whole context of the discussion. Have access to data that others do not, which is mentioned as type of others do not. And while they may have started studying the human past only recently, okay, which also meant coming late to the study, which is only recently, it will be foolish to ignore them. It would be foolish to ignore them. So the right answer choice is answer choice number B. Let's look at the problem with other answer choices, ladies and gentlemen. Barbarians have often access to knowledge passed on verbally. Where is knowledge passing down mentioned anywhere in this passage? Nowhere in the passage, alien to the whole discussion. Barbarians conduct sneak attacks on cities. No way. We're not talking about Genesis attacking anything, sneak attack. Anthropologists and linguists can learn a lot. Anthropologists and linguists are too narrow in this particular case. Anthropologists and linguists in this came as an example to make a completely different point. The context, the anthropology and linguist does not really have a role in the overall discussion apart from the fact that they came as an evidence for a particular claim the author was making. So this can be ignored as well. So we have answer choice number B, the right answer choice. Let's look at 1.5. Which of the following is true about the sentence enclosed with one in the passage above, which is this sentence that starts from here and ends till there. That's a sentence, right? I don't know how many of you have got issue with this particular question. Let's have a look at the sentence. Sentence say we have access to access to a type of data that no one has had before, and we are wielding this data to address previously unobtainable questions about who ancient peoples were. Now, this sentence seems to have issues. Uh, in the first glance, we might want to look at each answer choices one by one, and then look at whether that is appropriate or not. There is grammatical error in the portion of the sentence which reads wielding these data. These should be replaced by this. Is there a problem here? These data. Okay, there is actually no problem. When you look at data or data, I know depending upon which country I believe you are, US or British, I think it's data. US says data. Anyway, or vice versa. I'm not so sure. Data and there is datum. This is a singular form. That's a plural form. So the type of data, plural. These data, plural. So plural would mean these. So there is no issue with this. It is not this, it is these. There is no problem. There is no problem with this. Therefore, to suggest that you have to change to this, it would be incorrect. Answer choice A is incorrect. There is a spelling error in the portion of the sentence which reads wielding these data. The data should be replaced with word datum. No, datum is singular. This datum, these data. And so it's the same. The A and B is talking about the same kind of an issue. Okay, there is no problem there. Now you might be wondering with answer choice number C. There is a spelling error with the portion of the sentence which reads who ancient peoples were. The word peoples should be spelled with people. Now you know that people, so that they're saying that is there a problem with the word ancient people? Now people itself is plural. Now this ancient people is allowed. It is actually allowed. Okay, it is allowed in this context. So let's say there is an ethnic group, uh, 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 ethnic set of people one, ethnic group two, ethnic group three, ethnic group four, ethnic group five. So you say ethnic group one would be addressed as a people of ethnic group one. But if you want to kind of discuss, and discussion is in terms of a particular group of people, five group of people, and I'm to collectively discussing about these different types of people. I'll call it peoples, and this is kind of allowed. So for example, in this case, ancient peoples, it's in the ancient people group one, ancient people two, ancient people three. Different types of ancient people is what is being discussed. Therefore it is therefore ancient peoples is allowed. So there is no problem here in this particular question, and therefore this is incorrect. Another thing that I don't know how many of you would have noticed here is that there is peoples that is mentioned here. There is also collection of peoples that is mentioned there. So if there is a problem here, there should be a problem there also, right? But there is no problem there. So peoples is okay. The word peoples can be used. Okay, so the word peoples can be used is what I'm saying. So therefore, answer to this question is answer choice number D. Oops, let me pick another color, D. So what have we learned here, ladies and gentlemen? A few things. The passage is not that difficult to read. Okay, not that difficult to read. What was important for us is to get a sense of the passage. In my mind, I can see all these colors playing. And the questions, when you look at the question, most of the questions, the answer choices did not trouble us a lot. And we have seen this in sample paper number 1, 2, 3. The answer choice is not troubling us a lot, which means there are no two answer choices where we have to actually evaluate. Most of the answer choices, wrong answer choices are very easy to pick. The right answer choice is actually telling you to pick me. uh, Therefore, if you can comprehend the passage really well, I'm sure that you can get almost all the questions correct. Yes, the only trick, the only trap, that was a pretty awesome trap that was created in answer choice number C here. That's a pretty awesome trap. So if you have got, I think, 4 out of 5, I would say that would be a good uh, and a good score here. 5 out of 5 is pretty awesome. Anything less than 4, I believe, is problem, because you should have got the rest of all the 4 questions correct. Right. Thank you. And I'll post more videos as and when we get this supplementary material. See you.